What do we have at the foundation of the reading? The star, Aquarius energy at the foundation of the reading. From the time of this reading, it is 8/8, and we are making our way through this Lion's Gate portal. A lot of you can feel something shifting in the energy. It's interesting, though, because it's almost like it feels as if we're on the fence. We're stuck somewhere in between an impending doom and an entirely new timeline that consists of a lot of success and happiness, right? We're very much on the threshold. So when you think about what it may look like on the energetic realm as we go through this portal, imagine yourself standing inside a kind of door frame, right? Again, on the threshold. It's like you're facing your future with your back to everything you have been guided to leave behind. And before I began the reading, I did a couple of little pre-spreads. The first card that I got out for the first pre-spread I did was the Ten of Wands. Then for the second pre-spread, I pulled the Ten of Cups, which perfectly defines the energy that I'm feeling. That Ten of Wands that came out is representing you leaving behind the burdens of your past. And the Ten of Cups energy that I saw is everything that you can look forward to. It's an energy of harmony and alignment. So it only makes sense that we now had the star come out at the beginning of this reading. A lot of you have become very disciplined in your spiritual practices as of late. You've been doing a lot of sacrificing, removing things from your life that don't serve your highest good. And because of this, you are starting to feel a lot of support around you. And now's the perfect time for it, because you're going to feel an increase in support because of where we are at astrologically and energetically right now. This star is representing a new sense of hope that is flooding into your life. It's as if you can finally see very clearly that all of your hopes and dreams are actually possible, and that it all has to do with things that each one of us are led to sacrifice from our lives that will not serve us going down this path. We're all coming from these cycles in our life where it seems almost impossible to try and attain these true heart's desires. But on this new timeline, we're actually beginning to see very clearly why we always felt that way. We're starting to have a closer look at our environments, the relationships that we keep, the behavioral patterns, all of the things that create stagnation and delay on our paths are becoming very clear to us. And these are the only things that stand in the way of us achieving these true heart's desires. Everything is possible with sacrifice. And this is what all of you are beginning to understand very clearly. And you know, though that sounds very simple, when we think back to maybe the past few years even, it's like we couldn't quite compartmentalize that. Isn't that interesting, right? It's like we're at a point now where we've become so awake to our realities and how the world works that we wonder how we never saw it before. Which then makes you start to really think a little bit deeper about how life works, and you start to realize that there is most definitely some sort of force that is trying to keep us from aligning with these true heart's desires, which all has to do with why we are even here to begin with. These true heart's desires might be directly connected to your purpose. They usually are. A lot of people's true heart's desires have to do with talents that you hold, gifts you've been given. And though our purpose, our mission, our gifts, our talents, our true heart's desires, and us fulfilling our destiny in this life cycle may be slightly different, they're all connected underneath the umbrella that makes up the greatness that is you. All of these things work in tandem to help you fulfill what you are destined to do in this life cycle. The star at the foundation of the reading. What do we have at the sacral, please? Wow. Five of Pentacles, Taurus energy, and the sacral. This Five of Pentacles is picking up on what I said about us not being able to see as clearly as we do now, right? We couldn't see the restriction. Five of Pentacles is all about a lack mindset, a poverty mindset. This is everything that has kept you from stepping onto this path that you are all preparing to step onto right now. And this is right at the sacral, right? Your sacral is all connected to your passion, your creativity, your gifts, your talents, these things that you feel calling you from within your heart, but they seem so impossible to grasp onto and actually attain or start functioning inside of within your waking life, right? It's like we've all overcome a kind of spell, this spell that has been keeping us asleep, so we couldn't recognize the true reality and nature of who we are and what we came here to do. This Five of Pentacles will show up in countless different ways inside your waking life. This represents all the people that tell you that you can't do something, you're not good enough for something. This represents that dark force that tries to keep us from aligning with our true north. Just another way of speaking about our destined path. A lot of you have also been doing shadow work. You've been healing that inner child, which is a lifelong effort. It's not something that you just accomplish overnight. It's work. But what matters is that you just get on the path to addressing these things. This Five of Pentacles can speak about things that you've been carrying with you ever since you were a child. Things that have been derailing you from aligning with your true path and your true north. Things that have been keeping you from accessing your gifts and functioning inside of that space. See, I believe that we are given a blueprint. Divine says, okay, this is what you need to accomplish in this life cycle. But we're going to spice it up a little bit. We're going to give you some talents. We're going to give you some gifts so you can add a little color to your mission, right? But the true nature of who you are comes out when you are in perfect balance with all of these things. It's like you're in concert with the divine's true will for your life, and you've made your way to that allocated position in the universe that the divine was always reserving just for you. This is just another way of speaking about stepping into your power, stepping into a particular space, whether it's energetically, geographically, mentally, spiritually, but simply put, it's an energy of alignment, getting on your path and having a better understanding of your place in the universe, understanding that you are a piece of evolution, no matter how young or old you may be, no matter how far you've wandered off your path, you absolutely matter, and you absolutely make a huge difference when you're able to align with your true north, like we're speaking about in this channeling. What do we have? The solar plexus, please. Nine of Cups, Pisces energy at the solar plexus. Perfect. So now we're starting to see that a lot of you have actually calibrated with this new timeline. Nine of Cups is an energy of abundance. It's an energy of fulfillment. In my mind's eye, I can see these kind of cogs turning, and they're locking something into place. But it was only made possible once a crucial piece to the mechanics of how these cogs turn was fixed into its allocated position, and that is you. And I just heard, you are right on time, and we've been expecting you. The feeling I'm getting here is a lot of you making your way through this Lionsgate portal, whatever that represents for you, energetically speaking. And it's like there's these beings on the other side that are helping you to get acclimated to the new timeline. Right now I'm seeing people coming out of a terminal in an airport, and there's individuals waiting for these people with signs with their names on them, right? This is what I'm getting here. It's like you're all being escorted to your allocated positions into the new timeline. But this was only made possible by way of what all of you have recently sacrificed from your lives. And again, this can be countless different things, people, places, things, behavioral patterns, addictions, whatever it is. Now is one of those very rare times in our lives where we actually see an almost immediate response from the universe for these sacrifices we've made. And this is why I've been channeling through in a lot of the readings that now is the time to release any fear and embrace this supportive energy because of how quickly we are going to start seeing things turn around. If you can think about it in terms of lightening your load so you can walk up the pathway and step through the portal, this should give you a better understanding of why this sacrifice is necessary. Evolution of self, evolution of the collective and the universe requires you to access these gifts, these true heart's desires, these talents that I know a lot of you have been keeping dormant. And something else you need to understand, okay, because we've been led to believe that when you have talents and these sorts of things, there needs to be fame attached to it. But this is just not the case, okay? Those gifts and talents that a lot of you have that have been lying dormant, again, are just to add a little spice to your path. Sure, for some of you, they could lead to you being in the spotlight. I do have the star card at the foundation of the reading, which is the card of being in the spotlight. But let's not try and sell dreams here. Let's keep things very grounded in reality, because I'm a firm believer that if you show up for yourself, things will unfold the way they're supposed to, depending on what is written in your mission statement. So simply put, release the pressure that some of you are holding on to surrounding your talents and your gifts. It ruins it, right? This can be said for many different things. Start navigating your path from the perspective of what is meant to be will be, and just do as you are guided to do, and get into a more flowing kind of mindset. Release the pressure, release the stress. And right on the bottom of the deck, I have the Ace of Pentacles, which basically speaks about everything I said, because the Ace of Pentacles is some sort of gift from the divine, right? Hand of God, here's a blessing. Something that is given to you before you came here to help add a little detail to your path. But the Ace of Pentacles can also be an energy of the divine gifting you with some sort of blessing that brings you some sort of financial prosperity, that allows you to position yourself to make some sort of real world impact on your path. So there's something big that I'm picking up here for all of you. And I'm starting to feel a lot of heat, and I can see your silhouettes being traced out by the sun, and the sun is blinding. But it's as if this is representative of this new timeline where all of you arrive. What do we have at the heart, please? Perfect. The Fool. Unbelievable. The Fool is card 0 in the tarot, right? And see how we have the sun there? And it's white, right? The sun at its brightest. And it's like you've arrived. See, you've got your little pouch over your shoulder there. You've arrived at this new timeline. And like, oh, look at this interesting flower. The Fool represents new beginnings. There's some sort of new kind of hope that you haven't experienced in your life, I feel. This is the energy that I'm picking up here. I mean, the Fool is a very free-spirited energy. It's an energy of taking a chance, right? And for those of you that are maybe having a hard time sacrificing things right now, take a chance. Take a chance on yourself. You can never go wrong when you bet on your own happiness, okay? Never. A lot of you are coming from cycles where you were putting other people's happiness before your own. Where's it gotten you? Nowhere. Maybe you're just a little bit more bitter than you were the year before because you're not going after these true heart's desires, full at the heart. There was going to be a placement that spoke of you going after your true heart's desires. It would be the Fool, literally at the heart chakra. And again, I feel the need to say this reading is for all age groups. Some of you are a little older, okay? And what I say to you is that there was a reason why you had to be on that path that you've been on, where you haven't been going after your true heart's desires, for a reason. You needed to gather a little bit more wisdom, right? You're these elite soldiers that were sent down here from the divine to make your way through some very difficult karmic cycles. But now you're coming to a point where you're being given the option to finally move forward and step into this new timeline. And I noticed recently that there's been some younger people watching my videos. You know, we can look at the analytics and see age groups. And I thought that was really interesting because it tells me that the readings are speaking to younger generations and older generations, which is perfect because it reinforces what I said here, that age does not matter. When it's your time, it's your time. And I can tell you, based on my own experience, I thought it was over for me. We're so conditioned to think that after a certain age, oh, it's done for you. Just settle into a mundane kind of life, right? This is when you hear people starting to say that those true heart's desires, those dreams, are now termed as pipe dreams. Just another form of conditioning that we all are subjected to, living inside the matrix, right? But I'll tell you what broke me out of that mindset was when I started to receive downloads saying that God didn't make those rules, but God will make you an example of what hope and never giving up on those true heart's desires really looks like. This is a kind of rarity. There's a reason why we're speaking about this right now. I feel that some of you are on the verge of sacrificing the wrong things. Wow. Here we go, right? And this leads me to all of you really dissecting your surroundings. Who is it that's requiring that of you? Okay? Because I promise that if anybody requires you to sacrifice true heart's desires or things that make your soul sing, then these people do not truly have your highest good in mind. Maybe they act like it. Maybe they think they do, but they may not have a deep enough understanding about why you are truly here to begin with. And this is why we usually speak about people having to go into isolation or rather solitude and reconnect with source and realign themselves with why they are here to begin with. The everyday grind of life, it's not in support of our path. It's just the way it's been constructed. We all live in a kind of prison, right? Very rarely will you have people in your life or be born into families that encourage you to nurture the divine's true will for your life. Some of you may have been blessed, but for the most part, it's rare. So again, this is why we speak about the need for becoming the hermit, right? So you can remember, so you can clear out the noise and try and get a deeper understanding, a clearer picture of what's important, what feels important to your soul. And on the bottom of the deck, I have the 8 of Cups. So this is an energy of withdrawing. It's an energy of moving on. It's basically abandon all hope, abandon ship, right? The necessary action that a lot of you have already taken or need to take to be able to step onto this new timeline. Now, although I'm doing this reading during the Lion's Gate portal, it doesn't mean you have to do everything overnight. You really just need to make the decision and take the first step right now. Okay? I've been telling all of you that there's no more waiting, right? This is it. Okay? So I mentioned in one of the last readings that it's last call, right? The ship is getting ready to leave the dock. And by the time you see this reading, this will be it. Okay? Now, it's not to say that you can't make decisions to sacrifice things that don't serve your highest good at another point in time. You always can. But the reason why these messages are being pushed so hard right now is because, to reiterate again, it's supporting you astrologically, so it's going to be much easier right now. For a lot of you, things that you've been trying to sacrifice from your life for years, you could make the decision to do right now, and you'll find that you're able to do it with flying colors. Okay? What do we have at the throat, please? 2 of Swords. Wow. And this 2 of Swords is from the Before Tarot, right? So it's before you take the action. So here you are. 2 of Swords is an energy of making a decision, okay? It's basically you at the crossroads. You're preparing yourself. You're ready to make a decision now is what I'm feeling. And I feel that for a lot of you, it's quite possibly the message we're channeling through here, or a combination of messages that you're all hearing that are working together to give you the needed push, okay? But there's really not a better card that we could have had come out right after this Fool and everything I just said. This is basically you saying, yep, I'm ready to go. Let's do this. And I totally understand that some of you have some difficult decisions you need to make. This is why you've been in this kind of stalemate. But now's the time to really face the truth. You can't avoid it any longer. It's time to make the choice to put yourself first, put your happiness first, and navigate your life, right? your vessel, so to speak, with the knowing that you are here for a very particular set of reasons. You have a mission. Don't relinquish it. I'm telling you, when you start to navigate your life from the perspective of you being here because you need to fulfill your destiny, right? You have a mission to complete. Everything becomes way funner. Let's just put it that way. You begin to have access to a vast array of options, ideas, downloads. This is when the universe knows that you can be trusted. Your path will be lined with abundance. Abundance that is the direct result of the abundant mindset that you are now using to navigate your life. And that's what the Nine of Cups at the solar plexus is. It's an energy of abundance. And this, again, all has to do with focusing on your inner guidance. This is what gives you the abundant mindset. Focusing on that inner guidance is a form of faith. That faith gives you hope. And that hope gives you access to your wildest dreams. None of this is a miracle. It's all accessible by way of how you move in the here and now. But, again, we have been led to believe that all of this is fantasy. It is not accessible by just any old regular person, young or old. It's reserved for only a select few. This is a lie. We all have access to all of it. But again, not everybody is willing to make the sacrifices to truly understand what it is that I'm even trying to convey to all of you. What do we have at the third eye? Oh, I knew I was going to see the sun. Remember how I was talking about the sun before the Fool card came out? I could see it in my mind's eye. And then sure enough, we get the sun at the third eye. There's this very playful energy that I'm beginning to pick up on surrounding a lot of you. It's like this is all of you in the new timeline, right? It's a very childlike energy. It's like you've been rebirthed onto this new timeline. The sun is the most high vibrational card in the tarot. It's an energy of complete success and happiness. This is what's on the other side waiting for you through that portal. The portal that you access by releasing all of which that does not serve your highest good. And if you've been led to this reading, it's because there's something that you've either recently sacrificed and now we're getting a look into the path ahead, or something or some things that need to be sacrificed so you can step through this portal. So it doesn't matter where you are on the journey. This is showing us the roadmap of what this all entails and what the outcome here is. Your third eye is all related to your vision. It speaks about your ability to see beyond the material world. It speaks about your connection that you have with Source and the divine. It's also highlighting your intuition, your intuitive guidance. And see how in this Two of Swords, she's blindfolding herself as if to say, I don't even need my eyes to see. My intuition is strong enough. My inner compass is strong enough. The divine will guide me. She's basically saying, I'm ready. Let's do this. Some of you out there have this lingering doubt. It's like you can't focus on the positive because of something going on in your environment. You're worried if there will be success for you on the other side. It's like you have a clouded perspective. You can't see past the here and now. It's like you can't focus on the positive. Now, if that is some of you out there, you need to understand that those feelings are all the result of some sort of energetic attack that is unfolding around you. It's like something is going all in to stop you from stepping onto this new timeline. So I would go as far as saying that the more resistance you feel right now should be a direct sign that you need to push as hard as possible to break through to the other side. I always speak about how we get this dip in energy before we have a level up. It always happens, right? It's like the 11th hour, something comes through, distracts you, knocks you off your path. Maybe you miss an opportunity or you give up on something. Pay attention to all of this. You know, these are all the things that are being highlighted to us now that years ago maybe we couldn't see clearly. It's like waking up and finally realizing who was always the common denominator. What was always the common denominator? Whether it's a literal person, or it's something material, or it's a behavioral pattern, addiction. Years ago, I gave up drinking. I just found that there was areas of my life where I was putting a lot of work and I wasn't seeing the results that I should. It's like there was something standing in my way. And I started to think about why that was, okay? Started to think about all the common denominators in my life. I started to pinpoint some relationships in my life, so I removed those and I felt a little bit better, but then there was still other things hanging around. So I started to look at behavioral patterns. I removed some of those, or rather, I resolved some of those. And again, I felt a little less resistance. But then I started to look at the things that I didn't want to look at, right? And the two main things for me, and this is going to be different for everybody, were a handful of the closest people in my life and alcohol. And although at that point in time, I was by no means some raging drunk or somebody who went out drinking and partying. I was just somebody who would drink at home by myself. But what I didn't realize at the time is that the reason why I was doing that is because I was trying to push down, right, this wounded inner child. I was trying to numb something that I wasn't even really quite sure of was there, and it was right around that time I was starting to have a lot of things come up from the deep depths of my mind, things that I experienced on my path that were bothering me, or things that I was feeling called to resolve. So I took that leap and I removed alcohol from my life. And then I removed the handful of people that were essentially a negative influence in my life. And the miracle began to unfold. All of a sudden, I was getting movement. My life started to turn around. Now I look back and I see how many years I wasted not facing some of those things, right? And that can be a little bit disheartening, but I also have an understanding that it was meant to happen for me exactly when it was supposed to, because it was the wisdom that I needed to gain on my particular path for my mission, right? So I say all this to say that it's time to really face these common denominators in your life. Again, person, place, thing, behavioral pattern, addiction. Really, you all know exactly what it is or who they are, right? But you just haven't wanted to come to terms with it. You haven't wanted to believe that that's what it was. But I promise you, it is. And you need to understand that once you've got to this point in your life where you have put a lot of energy and effort into trying to get something to move in your life and you haven't seen any results for no good reason, then this is a clear sign that there's something you're missing. And just to be clear here, okay, you also need to be grounded in reality, all right, in terms of what it is you've been trying to achieve. If you've always wanted to be a singer and when you sing, it sounds like a dying chicken, then, again, I'm not here trying to sell dreams. I'm here trying to get you to focus on your God-given talents and gifts, the real ones that were given to you. In saying that, a lot of us have been taken off path as well and found ourselves focusing on things that other people tried to will for our life. And then all these years go by and we're not seeing any movement, and we've been completely derailed and diverted from the path we were actually supposed to take. So use your better discernment and be very grounded in the reality of your situation and what you're trying to achieve. What do we have at the crown, please? Strength, Leo energy at the crown. Perfect. So we have all this Leo energy here with the sun, the strength card. Okay, so a lot of self-love, confidence, courage coming through. You're being really encouraged to harness this inner strength and fortitude right now. You need to overcome the self-doubt. You need to get very disciplined, overcome the fear, also overcome the abuse of power in your life, right? And I feel that that really speaks about outside individuals, people that influence you to go a certain way, or maybe are influencing and coloring how your reality looks right now. This can be friends, family members. Don't forget, we are the sum of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So what does that look like for you? Think about that. And that also brings me back to why going into hermit for a period of time is so necessary. See how you feel when you don't have a certain kind of influence around you. You know, this is also a great time to fast. So maybe that's something that you need to do as well. You know, a 24-hour fast can make a huge difference. If you can make it to 72, even better. But there's things that are available to you. You just need to harness this inner strength and love of self to access them, okay? There's never been a better time than now. What do we have at the foundation, please? 8 of Swords. Wow. Folklore. Gemini energy. This is an energy of self-restriction. It's a kind of mental imprisonment. But I feel for a lot of you, it's speaking about your physical reality as well. It's like you feel imprisoned by the reality of your situation right now. When it doesn't have to be this way, you can literally access the tools needed to break yourself out of this space. The restriction is in the mind. There's something that a lot of you just need to face, something that you need to put in its place. Again, it doesn't have to be a person. It can be a thing. It can be a behavioral pattern. It's going to be different for all of you, but this is really what I'm getting here. You feel something coming towards you. Just like I said at the beginning of the reading, this is that portal. It's like you're feeling it. You can feel the heat from this sun. It's on the horizon line. There's this wave of energy that is going to embrace you once you sacrifice whatever I'm picking up here for each one of you. It's like this is, oh wow, I just heard this is the final sacrifice, right, for this timeline. Wow, I've never said it like that before, the final sacrifice, but it makes perfect sense because it takes me back to what I was saying to all of you about how I was sacrificing, letting go of things, and I would feel a little bit better, but then it was those last few things, right? And then boom, I had the breakthrough, right? It's like that last thing was the final sacrifice. You know, we can even go a layer deeper here. A lot of the things that you are being called to sacrifice from your life have to do with generational karma. Could be generational curses, however you want to put it. Things that the family members that came before you weren't able to overcome. Well, now you come along and you actually break it. Quite possibly a behavioral pattern, an addiction, just a way of living. It could even be a lack mindset or a poverty mindset for some of you, which is just the complete opposite of the abundant mindset. Maybe that's the way you were raised. You know, a lack mindset doesn't always have to do with finances. It could be something that's affecting your self-confidence, your self-image, the relationship you have with yourself, the way you speak to yourself, right? All things that were carried down. So, to simplify what I am explaining to all of you here is that a lot of your breakthroughs are going to happen when you break out of patterns that other people in your family were never able to release themselves from. You know, I mentioned that for me it was alcohol, right? And alcoholism runs deep in my family, both sides. But I managed to break the chains of that alcoholism. So this is why when I did it, I saw such huge breakthroughs unfold in my life. Addiction's a big one too, because it's in just about every family. Some of you have it passed down to you and some of you don't. Okay, and for those of you that don't, maybe there's something else you need to break, maybe a behavioral pattern, right? That's not serving your highest good. Maybe it worked for family members 50 years ago, but it doesn't work for you in the here and now. Again, countless ways that these things can show up, and only you are going to know what makes the most sense to you and your path. But this can be another way of speaking about a black sheep, right? You're breaking away from the herd. You're not like the rest of them. You're a kind of lone wolf, right? But you were specifically handpicked by the divine to be incarnated into this life cycle, into that particular family, to break the chain, break the curse, because the energy needs to move. It needs to evolve. It can no longer remain stagnated and unevolved. And this is why when you take this path, you have people come for you, especially family members, because they feel slighted by the fact that you have been chosen to do something that they were never able to accomplish. What do we have the sacred, please? And look who decided to show up to the party. The devil. Look, he's waving at you. Moloch. Makes one worse off than ever before. Tricks mortals into being bound. Accepts child sacrifice. Right? So this message is becoming clearer and clearer the more we develop through the reading. Now we're starting to see that there's some sort of dark force here at play. This could really represent the curse, right? The generational karma, what you were called to break. And it's right underneath that Five of Pentacles. Generational karma, right? Served up by the devil. And the fact that the devil is coming out so we can see him is telling me that you have a perception of everything we're saying here that other people in your family don't have. It's like they can't compute it, right? If they listened to this reading, they would think it was absolutely crazy. But you understand the layers to what is happening here. You know, we had this message of great success and happiness and fulfillment on this top row. This is the direct result of breaking generational curses. You open the floodgates to abundance. And abundance comes in the form of material support, divinely guided instructions on how to manifest things into your life yourself. Sky's the limit, and it never ends. That is how you access your spiritual inheritance, is by breaking the curse, whatever that is for you. And we all have them, big or small. But sometimes it only takes a small stick to hold back a dam. So think about that. What do we have, the solar plexus, please? Wow. The Empress, red in its negative polarity. Libra, Taurus, Venusian energy, Gremory. This is like the Empress in reverse. This, to me, is representing this curse, let's just say, okay? The behavioral pattern, the addiction, whatever it is, okay? And the way it says right there, tells of the past, present, and future. Also above that it says, tells where treasures are hidden, right? It speaks to me about you being told to live your life a certain way. This is that energy that derails you from your path without you even really knowing it. You know, we're just born into these families, and then by default, you trust that they have your highest good in mind. You know, just to give you a little example of what I'm getting here, my parents divorced, I think when I was about 3, but their relationship was on the rocks before I even came along. And once they finally divorced, they became each other's mortal enemies. And it wasn't until the past, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 years, somewhere in there, that I really start to realize that they wanted to destroy every trace of their relationship, including me and my sibling. The support that they seemingly gave us was circumstantial, based on trying to influence us onto a path to make the other parent seem like they were to blame for something. Really, I grew up surrounded by 2 children that were masquerading as supposed parents that were only concerned with destroying the other person. And me and my sibling were caught in the crossfire. Once I started to realize this, it was life-changing, obviously. But everything really started to make sense in my life. But I say all this because this is what I'm getting here with this Empress in its negative polarity. It's like somebody telling you that you need to live your life this particular way. Whether it's happening now or it happened in the past and influenced your path to current day, but they never had your best interest in mind. There was some sort of sinister undertone to the supposed positive influence that they were delivering to you. In other words, it speaks about an individual or individuals that purposely set you out on a path of destruction, and you never even knew it. What do we have at the heart, please? Oh, wow. Unbelievable. Paimon, Aries, Leo, Sag energy. Deception, right? This is the Queen of Wands, Aries, Leo, Sag energy. This is a very mean-spirited, selfish, vengeful energy that I'm getting here. And it follows this Empress in its negative polarity. Perfect. It's like some of you had one individual who purposely set you out on the wrong path, and then you had another individual who set you out on another alternative path that was in direct conflict with the path that this individual set you out on. It's like being sent down two paths that were the opposite way from your north node, just creating all sorts of chaos in your life. Some of you have been subjected to a wide range of elaborate deceptions, but God, Haziel, the Hierophant, divine forgiveness. There's the divine, your spirit guides, God, right? Your ancestors, all watching over you. It's like now they're swooping in to help escort you to the new timeline. See how they're looking directly at this individual here, and this individual's looking away, right? It's as if the spotlight is finally on them. You know, a lot of you are thinking about the trajectory of your path since childhood, and you're starting to see now where maybe you took some wrong turns and how those wrong turns, those decisions you made, were influenced by other people you had around you, whether they were literally in your life at that moment in time, or your decisions that you made were based off of a kind of influence you had around you. There it is. What a powerful reading. The fact that we get the Hierophant right here, right at the center of the reading, right? Underneath this Fool. This is big energy here. See, a lot of people ask, when am I going to get divine justice? When is karma going to unfold for the individuals that came against me? And I can tell you that 100% of the time, the wheels of karmic justice begin to turn when you step into your power and you get moving and you do not look back. Period. What do we have at the throat, please? Unbelievable. There it is. Justice. Just spoke it into existence. Kal-El, the invocable God. Prevail. So as we can see now, the scales are tipping in your favor. The divine courts are in session. And it's right underneath that Two of Swords, right? You making the decision. This is what causes this to unfold. Double confirmation. Not only did I speak about it, but we got justice falling out right after I stated to you how karmic justice plays out. And the connection here, right? It's like right there, you're blindfolding yourself, and then right here, the blindfold on justice, right? And I love that justice is blindfolded here because it really puts more of an emphasis on the acts, the energy of things, and zero emphasis on who these people may have been in your life. Justice uses her mind and her senses to deliver justice into your life. What do we have at the third eye? Ace of Swords, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy, Yamable at the third eye. God above all names elevated. Affinity and friendship obtains the friendship of anyone. So as we can see now, karmic justice has played out and you are moving forward onto this new timeline. The enemies of the past have been defeated. The behavioral patterns, the addictions, whatever it is, right? Whatever the resistance is. You know, a lot of the times, the behavioral patterns, the addictions, whether they're things that were passed down to you through your family lineage, or there were behavioral patterns you picked up on a certain kind of treatment. I mean, this one is obvious when it comes to things like drugs and alcohol and bad habits and behavioral patterns that don't serve your highest good. You know, they are rooted in something. But this is you overcoming all of that. okay? But there seems to be an emphasis here on a lot of you really getting to the root of things, right? This Five of Pentacles at the sacral, an addiction or a behavioral pattern you have, or a certain way that you've been living your life that isn't in alignment with your highest good, and you're just sitting with that. Okay, where did I pick this up? Where did this start? And you just start to trace back on your path. You're always going to find where these things manifest from. Some maybe a little bit harder to dig into, but it's always going to be rooted in something or somewhere. What do we have, the Crown, to close out the reading? The Tower. Mars, Aries, Scorpio energy, Uriel, the fire of God, disruption, warns of disasters, aids in transformation. Absolutely perfect card to end this reading, because the Tower represents a destruction of any sort of false securities that you've had in your life. It's the energy of a wake-up call. It's also the energy of disgrace. And see how it's like he's got the memo? Goes back to what I said about tracing things back and finding out where they were rooted. Really speaks about what I mentioned in regards to being set out on an alternate path purposely, right? See, now everything has come together in a very cohesive manner to make all of this make sense. So however this may resonate for you, all I can tell you is that there's a tremendous message of overcoming gargantuan obstacles and achieving a monumental amount of happiness and success in your life. And although all of your paths are going to be different, this can be used as a blueprint to help you navigate your way to finally take the first step through that portal and onto the new timeline. This is the message I have available to all of you, depending on where you are on this timeline, if you choose to accept. I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you would like a personal reading, you can find all of my contact details in the description below this video. And thank you for your donations. Take care.